Ground of what brought this news conference on? Something was brought to your attention here recently?
Well, I can tell you why I asked for the news conference today, and that's because I think if you don't address some of the things that happen within the media realm, the media takes on a life of its own. And that's not to say you guys are good or bad. That's just to say that I know you have a job to do. And at times you can read something and people will have a different opinion about what they read. So depending on the inference made from the article, I had the internal feeling that this was getting a little out of control and that I possibly needed to speak to what we were doing as a school district to ensure the safety for all of our kids.
How do you have this conversation, if you guys would have to have this conversation with children? It would be different than speaking with an adult. And when school starts back, very sure there might be a child that asks a question, reads the newspaper, or watches the stories. How do you guys educate children on this?
Well, you know, we have the benefit of students are still in health classes, so they do get to read a lot about the real facts and the real indicators for a lot of different diseases. So it's real easy to begin to have that conversation with students because you can build it into a curriculum.
If you said as part of that process, if a student or staff have traveled somewhere, that they may have been exposed to this, or they know there's an infectious disease there, and you require the physician's statement, showing that they've been cleared. How is the district, in wanting to make sure that they're cleared, saying it will, pay for any tests that need to be done to make sure that person is cleared, or providing any support there, or is that pretty much on the onus of that individual?
Those are individualized questions that I'm not going to respond to because that gets into a person's financial standing, and I don't speak.
So there's not just a blanket. You would always pay for a test if it needs to be done, or
No,
never pay. It would be a.
That's an individualized conversation.
Okay.
Have you released the teachers' information that are involved in the situation?
I don't know that we have any teachers involved in this situation. I'm talking about what we do as a board policy and board perspective for infectious diseases.
So were there teachers in West Africa?
I'm not going to comment on that.
But don't you think parents should wouldn't they want to know if there were teachers over there come Monday morning that were in West Africa?
I would think what they would want to know is that anyone in our building has been cleared to be in our building for whatever reason, for whatever disease.
If you are saying obviously you're not going to comment on specifics or acknowledge or confirm that you have any teachers in this situation, what prompted you to raise this concern to the school board following its workshop on Saturday?
Who said I did that?
Member of the media who was there?
Then I raise a lot of things with the school board. I tell them a lot of things that I'm going to do in terms of procedures. So it could be as innocent as saying, if we have infection, since this is in the media, the worldwide media, and it poses to be an issue for us, this is the procedure I'm going to follow.
And in that conversation, in that discussion with the board, was there any concern in terms of what authority you did have as a superintendent to ask or request certain students or staff members to provide, for example, the physician's statement or get tested for things? Was that kind of a line you had to toe?
No, because we will request a physician's statement if a child has lice. I mean, if we have a lice outbreak in the classroom and they go home, before they can come back, they have to show proof that they no longer are contagious. Same thing with tuberculosis, with pertussis. So it's not just one type of disease. It's the protocol we use for all diseases.
What's the difference between I think some of us in here may have spoken with Bill Evans, the board chair, and he's the one who told us it was possibly 2 or 3 teachers who was in Africa. What's the difference between him telling us this and you telling us?
Well, you'd have to ask Mr. Evans that question.
And I know you won't.
They're essentially 2 spokespersons for a school district. That's the board chair typically and the superintendent. I probably have more updated, accurate information than Mr. Evans, just due to the fact that I do this every day. This is my job. Where a board member, although they may have some information here and there, essentially twice a month when we have our board meetings or committee meetings is when they get the more in-depth information.
And going back to a little bit what Nick was asking, I know you won't discuss with us how many teachers or the teacher's information because it's like a medical thing there, but what if a parent did call you and they wanted to know, we're hearing this, my child's in school, is the teacher at my child's school? Can you at least tell them if the teacher's at that school, or can you at least tell a parent how many teachers it could be? Don't you think that it's their parents' right to know whether or not maybe I don't want to send my child to school today, or just to have that sort of point of mind, or can you at least tell them, well, we can tell you it's not that teacher?
No, I don't think they have that right. Because I wouldn't also, let's reverse that. I don't think I would have the right to tell the teacher any kind of personal medical information about a parent.
But what about, but a child you
Because
would, right?
the parent also comes into the building. So personal medical information is that person's. Now if they wish to share it, that's fine. But I don't have the right to share your personal medical information with anyone else.
But it's not, I'm not saying the individual personal teacher. The
Yes,
parents,
you are. Because
the parents call in just saying, is the teacher at that school? And it doesn't have to be in the classroom. Is the teacher in that school that my child
Well,
goes
if you're
to?
asking me about a teacher in a school, you've limited the population down to the point that, yes, you've released identifiable information. If I said, your news station, a reporter that reports on school business at that station has this infectious disease, how closely have I come to pointing that arrow at you? Same thing. That a person's medical information is just that, is that person's medical information.
It's not a policy he's talking about, it's federal law.
Right.
It's hammered into us by our attorneys, by Dr. Moss.
And it's also part of the South Carolina law, South Carolina code.
However, a person's travels are not private information, so why is this something just that the district feels, they can't even, confirm or acknowledge that several teachers have traveled there and, that we understand the situation. Unfortunately, this outbreak has happened while they were traveling there, and this is what being done without identifying who the teachers were.
And I'm not going to do that either. But what I will do is tell you, to my knowledge, we've not had anyone travel anywhere close to a location where Ebola has been identified.
And when you say to your knowledge, you've not had anyone travel anywhere close. When you say anywhere close, how are you defining that? Hundreds of miles?
Hundreds of miles.
Okay. And with just the situation, I saw a story on this just before.
You do understand geography and how large the continent is.
Yes,
Okay.
I do. But, saw a story on this. It was AP or, USA Today, something, soon before I came over here, saying that health officials are concerned that they don't understand the true scope of the outbreak right now. That numbers are, every time they open up a new treatment center, they're flooding in, and so fear they don't have a true understanding of the scope. Because of that, is there not, even if it's hundreds of miles, don't feel the need to just be as cautious as possible?